Ever walked into a room and felt like a fish out of water, or tried to chat at an event but your words did the cha-cha in your mouth? We've all been that guy or gal who tries to impress someone, a boss, a date, or that dude with the cute dog, but ends up sounding like we're from different planets. Let's face it, in a world where most of our chats are just thumbs tapping screens, real conversations can feel like trying to ride a unicycle for the first time. But guess what? There's this old-school book from 1936, The Secrets of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's not just a book, it's like a GPS for human interactions. Warren Buffett, the most successful investors of the 20th century. He read it at 20. Look where he is now. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe he knows the secret handshake. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the essence of Carnegie's masterpiece. We'll unravel the secrets chapter by chapter, offering a full summary of how to win friends and influence people. Whether you're a seasoned professional, a student, or just someone looking to enhance your interpersonal skills. Subscribe to the channel, and let's uncover the secrets to success together. So Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People kicks off with a section that's pretty much a How to Not Be a Jerk 101. The first part, named Fundamental Techniques in Handling People, is split into 3 chapters. Think of them as the 3 commandments of making friends and rocking at social stuff. They're the ABCs of not putting your foot in your mouth and actually getting individuals to think, hey, that person's pretty cool. These golden rules are the secret sauce to winning the friend game. Ever had a day when your coffee spills, you're late for work, and then the boss dives right into criticizing that report you spent hours on? It's like adding salt to a wound, or like pouring milk into a cola, which just doesn't mix well. That's what the next chapter is all about in The Secret of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie pops the lid on his book with a zinger. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Simple, right? But how often do we get it wrong? Imagine this. You're at a family dinner. Aunt Karen starts off, "Honey, ever thought of joining a gym?" Ouch, that's the sort of mood Dale is talking about. Instead of making you feel like joining a gym, it makes you want to throw the salad at her, but please don't. Most folks think they wear golden halos. Tell them they're wrong, and you might as well have slapped their grandma. Criticism makes people defensive, like armadillos curling into a ball. And once they're in that ball, good luck getting through. In one instance, Mr. Edward T. Bedford goofed up and cost John D. Rockefeller $1 million. But did Rockefeller flip his lid? Nope. Taking a page from The Secret of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People, he praised Bedford for saving 60% of the investments. Instead of focusing on the 40% mistake, Rockefeller celebrated the 60% win. It's like praising someone for spilling coffee on only 40% of your white couch. At least 60% is still coffee-free. All right, moving forward to the next chapter, imagine you're at one of those stuffy business seminars. You know, the ones where everyone's suited up, looking all posh, talking about stocks and bonds. Then there's Bob. Bob's got this new budgeting app he's developed. Now you could roll your eyes and think, oh great, another revolutionary app. Or you could remember that chapter, give honest and sincere appreciation, and say, hey Bob, that sounds neat. How does it help folks with their personal finance? Boom! Instant connection. Why? Because Dale Carnegie in How to Win Friends and Influence People tells us something we kinda already know deep down. Everybody wants to feel like a rock star, especially in the business world. It's like getting an extra cherry on your investment sundae. Let's twist the plot a bit. You're in a meeting pitching an idea to investors. Jenny from the other side chimes in with some suggestions. Instead of going defensive, you could channel your inner Carnegie and appreciate her input. Jenny, that's an interesting perspective. But a quick heads up, Dale also tells us to watch out for the phony stuff. Being fake in appreciation is like buying a Rolex from a dude in a back alley for $10. Looks shiny, but everyone knows it's not the real deal. Bottom line, the secret of success is all about keeping it real. In the world of business and personal finance, genuine appreciation isn't just nice. It's like a secret weapon for networking. And hey, if all else fails, at least you can say you gave it the old college try. and got a few laughs out of it. Moving on to the next chapter, which is tuning into others' desires. It's a simple truth. We're all primarily focused on our own wants and needs. While you're deeply concerned with what you desire, so is everyone else with their own interests. Okay, picture this. You're pitching an idea to an investor. You've done your research and you know they're keen on sustainable projects. Instead of going full-blown with your tech jargon, channel your Carnegie. Lead with, "I know you're passionate about sustainability. Our project aligns with that. Let me show you how." That's like offering a free front-row ticket to their favorite band. Henry Ford nailed it when he said understanding the other person's viewpoint is crucial. It's like having the cheat codes in a video game. The secret of success, how to win friends and influence people, is pretty much the instruction manual for these cheat codes in real life. In short, Dale takes us from basic people handling to leveling up. Being someone people want to hang around. Think of it like this. First, you learn to juggle. Then you add flaming torches, because who doesn't want to be that cool person juggling flaming torches in the world of relationships? In Part 2, 6 Ways to Make People Like You, we are introduced to 6 potent principles that can transform our everyday interactions, making them richer, more genuine, and, most importantly, more enjoyable for all involved. Let's start with the first chapter in this part, which is to become genuinely interested in other people. To understand this, consider you're at one of those posh business dinners. Across the table is Lisa, the CEO of a buzzing new startup. Everyone's trying to impress her with their latest deals and stock gains, but inspired by how to win friends and influence people, you decide to go rogue. Instead of talking about your amazing weekend yacht trip, you ask her about her passion project. Suddenly, her eyes light up, she gets animated, and you're having a riveting chat about her journey to save honeybees. Who knew, right? Dale Carnegie hits us with a truth bomb in people. Playing the me, me, me symphony doesn't make you the star of the show. Instead, it's like being that one radio jingle that won't stop playing, annoying and eventually ignored. This is like getting a VIP pass to the cool club of genuine connections. It's not about the fancy suit you wear or the car you drive. It's about lending an ear, giving a hoot, and genuinely diving into the world of others. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far and want more content like this, comment the word "more" so I'll notice. Moving forward to the next chapter, we have the universal language of a smile. Ever noticed how a simple smile can change the atmosphere of an entire room? For instance, if you're at a big-time business conference full of serious faces and tense negotiations, everyone's got their game face on, calculating profits and losses. And then there's you, taking a leaf out of The Secret of Success, how to win friends and influence people, flashing your brightest, most genuine smile at the coffee stand. Suddenly, the barista remembers your order from yesterday. A fellow attendee starts a friendly chat about their latest venture. Even the grumpy old dude from corporate seems a bit less, well, grumpy. Here's the deal. Smiling is like the Wi-Fi of human interactions. It's a universal connection, and when you have it, things just flow. And the best part, it's free! Dale Carnegie in How to Win Friends and Influence People is basically saying, why pay for premium networking strategies when you've got this killer feature built right into your face? For our business-minded buddies, think of smiling as the best ROI, return on investment. A tiny effort of curling up those lips can yield huge dividends in goodwill, trust, and partnerships. And if you're ever in doubt, just remember Shakespeare saying, to smile or not to smile, that is the question. The answer, always smile. And talking about smile, we have another similar things which bring us to the next chapter, which is about the magic of a name. All right, picture this. You're at a posh finance gala. Lots of potential investors around. You spot a bigwig investor, and thinking of all you've learned from how to win friends and influence people, you stride over with confidence. You greet him with, "Hey, John." He turns, looking intrigued. There's only one hiccup. His name's James. You just hit the jackpot on the awkward bingo. Dale Carnegie serves up in How to Win Friends and Influence People. Names aren't just words. They're the ultimate VIP passes to the Heart Club. And using a name, right? That's like investing wisely and watching your stocks soar. In this next chapter of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie talks about encouraging others to talk about themselves. Everyone's got a bit of a diva inside. We all love our solo performances. Carnegie's advice is like handing over the microphone and saying, "Your turn in the spotlight." Here's a pro tip for our business folks. In a world of me, being the rare "tell me about you" is like a breath of fresh air. Think of it as a business strategy, investing in listening stocks. And the return? A portfolio rich in trust, rapport, and opportunities. So next time, instead of bragging about your new crypto discovery, ask your colleague about their weekend adventure. Because guess what? Being a Wall Street wolf is cool, but being the Carnegie charmer? Now that's priceless. And who knows? That person might just slide you his business card after sharing his tale. Next, we have a chapter which talks about speaking the language of interest. So here's the scene. You're at a business mixer and you spot Jenny from accounting. You know, the same Jenny who can't stop talking about that trendy new stock she's invested in? And then there's Dave from sales, who's always raving about his antique stamp collection. Now, while stocks might sound like some fancy alien tech and stamps are, well, just stickers to you, to them, these are passions. Taking a leaf from The Secret of Success, How to Win Friends and Influence People, instead of bringing up your latest Netflix binge, which, by the way, Jenny and Dave couldn't care less about, you dive deep into their world of investments and old sticky paper. So you head over to Jenny and say, "Heard the stock market is booming. Got any tips for a newbie?" Before you know it, you're her favorite person for the next 15 minutes. Then, while you're enjoying a pastry, you swing by Dave and say, "Dave, heard there's a rare 1856 British Guiana stamp on auction." Sure, you might not be planning a stamp-themed holiday anytime soon, or you might not even know what a stock looks like. But now, you've got Jenny potentially spilling secret investment beans, and Dave might just invite you to his exclusive stamp collector's gala. Now, here is a real story about this chapter. Emerson and his son had a mission: move a stubborn calf to a barn, pushing and pulling. Epic fail. Then the savvy Irish housemaid came. She let the calf suck her finger, leading it easily into the barn. Then there's Andrew Carnegie dealing with his college nephews, ghosting the family. His genius plan? Write them, hinting he'd sent money. Spoiler, he didn't. Result? Instant replies asking about the missing cash. In both these stories, there was interest in between, so it works. The last chapter in this part talks about the genuine power of making others feel important. All right, let's set the stage. Picture Bob, a middle manager at your typical Fortune 500 company. Bob's been plugging away at his job for years, balancing spreadsheets and attending way too many meetings. Bob's been feeling like just another cog in the big corporate machine. Then there's Alice, a bubbly new recruit with ambition in her eyes and a copy of The Secret of Success, How to Win Friends and Influence People under her arm. One day, Alice walks into Bob's office and genuinely asks him about his weekend plans, if he's trying any new hobbies, and praises him for that genius quarterly presentation he gave last month. Suddenly, Bob, who's used to talking about just TPS reports and KPIs, feels like the most interesting man in the world. No, not the beer guy with the beard, but someone who truly matters. Now, Alice isn't just schmoozing. She's tapping into Bob's deep-seated desire to be acknowledged, to be more than just Bob from accounting. And you know what? Bob's not only going to remember Alice for this, but he's also going to go home and maybe even join that salsa class he's been thinking about. Heck, he's even going to tell his pet goldfish about how his day went. Okay, having established the foundation of creating genuine relationships in the previous two parts, we now venture into a slightly more nuanced territory. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. The first chapter in this part is about navigating disagreements without arguments. To understand this, let's picture this. It's Monday morning and you and your buddy Jim are fiercely debating where to invest company funds. Jim's all about jumping into the trendy crypto space while you're leaning towards the classic safety of stocks. Now, instead of duking it out in an epic rap battle of financial jargon, you both take a page out of The Secret of Success and How to Win Friends and Influence People. So instead of blurting out, Jim, have you lost your marbles with this crypto mumbo-jumbo? You take a deep breath and think, all right, Jim's not a total numbskull. Why does he feel this way? And so you calmly ask, hey, Jim, help me understand your perspective on this. And then the magic happens. Jim, taken aback by your non-confrontational approach, starts explaining his reasons. As he talks, you realize you're both after the same goal, making the company richer than a triple chocolate fudge cake. Disagreements are like mismatched socks. They seem different on the surface, but at the end of the day, they're both just trying to keep your feet warm. Next chapter is about the power of diplomacy over confrontation. Imagine you're chilling with your friend Alex at your favorite coffee shop, discussing the best way to grow your small online business. Alex suddenly goes, "Why don't we go all in on this fancy schmancy influencer marketing?" You've just read a report stating it's not the most effective method. Instead of slamming your coffee down and exclaiming, "Alex, that's the silliest idea since someone decided to put ketchup on eggs," remember Dale Carnegie's teachings from The Secret of Success. Take a sip of your coffee and go, "Hey, Alex, that's an interesting angle. I've been reading up on it too. There's this report I found. Might be worth us both checking out. We can make the best choice after. Sounds good?" See, you didn't squash Alex's idea like it was a pesky fly. You treated it like a butterfly with gentleness. That's the Carnegie way, the art of saying, "Hey, I might have missed something. Let's look at this together." Moving forward to the next one, which is the strength in admitting our mistakes. Acknowledging our mistakes, especially when we do so promptly and wholeheartedly, is a reflection of character and maturity. When you find yourself on the right side of an argument, it's essential to approach others with grace and diplomacy. Yet when you're on the wrong side, as we all occasionally are, embrace your mistake with vigor and sincerity. This approach is not only more genuine, but often leads to better outcomes than stubbornly clinging to a defensive stance. As the wisdom of ages suggests, sometimes in yielding, we gain far more than we could ever achieve through confrontation or defense. In the same way, the next chapter is about the power of friendship in persuasion. When you try to open a stubborn, rusty door, it creaks, it groans, and often it doesn't budge. That's a lot like trying to convince someone without establishing trust first. So here comes the magic in human interactions, the power of friendship. It lubricates the conversation, making it smoother and less resistant. Abe Lincoln did drop some wisdom that resonates with our modern sensibilities. He suggested honey over gall. Think of it as choosing donuts over Brussels sprouts to lure someone to a meeting. While Brussels sprouts have their merits, donuts bring joy and possibly a sugar rush. When you approach someone with the intent of understanding, valuing, and laughing together, the doors swing open. And more often than not, you'll find that behind those doors are opportunities, mutual respect, and maybe even a shared donut. The next chapter is about the affirmative approach to communication. Okay, let's break it down. You're at a networking event. You see cheesy name badges, waiters floating around with trays of canapes you can't pronounce, and an overly enthusiastic DJ. You spot someone you want to pitch your new budgeting app to, but how do you start? You remember this golden nugget from The Secret of Success, how to win friends and influence people about the affirmative approach. So instead of going guns blazing about how awesome your app is, you comment on their tie, which has tiny dollar signs on it. They laugh, saying they bought it as a joke, and suddenly you're both bonding over hilarious tie choices. It's a yes. Now you casually steer it. You know, speaking of money, ever struggle with budgeting? Another nod, another yes. By the time you whip out your app, they're on board, all because you started with something you both agreed on. It's like trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. Start with talking about the weather, and by the end of it, you might have them buying a freezer. Next, moving forward, the next chapter talks about the power of listening. Let's imagine you're at a startup pitch competition. There's a guy on stage going on and on about his revolutionary sock sorting app. Because who hasn't lost a sock, right? You're thinking of all the ways you could chime in with your own ideas, but you take this page out of The Secret of Success, how to win friends and influence people, and decide to just zip it and listen. Turns out Mr. Sock Sorter is onto something. By just lending an ear and nodding every now and then, you've made him feel like the king of the sock world. Who knew the power of just shutting up and tuning in? In social gathering, if you genuinely listen, you become like a magnet. People want to talk to you, share ideas, maybe even partner up. Before you know it, you're deep in a discussion about launching a line of pineapple-themed socks. Moving forward to the next chapter, which is about the art of suggestion. Imagine you're at a board meeting. You've got this killer idea for a new marketing campaign, but pitching it directly might make it seem like you're trying to steal the limelight. Instead, taking a leaf out of How to Win Friends and Influence People, you decide to get a little sneaky, in a good way. You ask everyone, what kind of vibe are we going for with our next campaign? Mr. Suit says, dynamic and fresh. Miss Power Heels chimes in with, and memorable. Here's your chance. You jump in. You know, I read somewhere that neon colors and interactive campaigns give that dynamic, fresh, and memorable feel. What do you guys think? Suddenly, the room's buzzing. Everyone's excited, throwing in their 2 cents, and boom! They decide to go with an interactive neon-colored campaign. Little do they know, you've nudged them right where you wanted them to go. And the best part? They think it's their brilliant idea. In like manner, the next chapter Carnegie talks about is walking in another's shoes. In human interaction, understanding is a golden thread that binds us together. Let's suppose you're at work brainstorming ideas with Bob from accounting. Now, Bob's always going on about cutting costs, every single meeting. Can we get cheaper pens? Do we really need color printing? One day you decide to do a little digging, not because you're nosy, but, just a smidge curious. You find out Bob's department has been facing budget cuts, and he's been stressing out about balancing the books. So, at the next meeting, instead of rolling your eyes when Bob starts his cost-cutting symphony, you follow the advice about maximizing efficiency. So instead, you will say to him, "Can we look into cost-effective strategies together?" Bob's eyes light up. You've spoken his language. Next thing you know, you two are the dream team at the office. Moving forward, the next chapter is about the power of empathy in conversation. Now we all have some friend or co-worker, let's call him Jerry, who always seems to be on a different wavelength than the rest of the planet. You know, the guy who microwaves fish in the office and thinks everyone enjoys the aroma. Yeah, that Jerry. Next, imagine you're stuck in a meeting room with Jerry, arguing about which marketing strategy is better. Your team digital. He's team billboard. You're about to lose it. And then you remember, Jerry's dad owned a billboard company. It's a nostalgia thing for him. Suddenly, it makes a bit more sense. So instead of launching into a tirade about the merits of digital marketing, you lean in and say, "You know, Jerry, if my pops owned a billboard business, I'd probably have a soft spot for those giant roadside ads, too." Jerry blinks, surprised. The atmosphere lightens. You might not walk out agreeing on the strategy, but at least Jerry might think twice about his lunch choices. Next, Dale talks about the art of making ideas come alive. Ever tried explaining something technical to your grandma? It's a bit like convincing a cat to take a bath. You could blabber on about the nitty-gritty, but let's be real. She's thinking about her next knitting project. Now imagine you're trying to sell that very complicated, super boring software to a room full of potential clients. Do you dive into the deep end, explaining algorithms and technical jargon? Nah, that's the express ticket to Snoozeville. Instead, picture this. You start with a story of a dude named Bob. Bob's drowning in paperwork. Literally, there's a fun graphic behind you of Bob swimming in a sea of paper. He's stressed, his hair's going gray, and his coffee machine can't keep up. Enter your software. Suddenly the sea's calm, the sun shines, and Bob's hair? Lusciously brown again. Plus, he's sipping a pina colada on a beach. That's the magic of storytelling. Remember, humans are suckers for a good story. Think about it. How to Win Friends and Influence People isn't just a how-to manual, it's a collection of compelling tales. All right, to the next chapter, we have the igniting the flame of ambition. So, ever played a game and thought, this level's impossible, but deep down, you didn't want to give up? Now let's chat about the go-getters of the world. Those folks who see every problem like a game waiting to be conquered. You tell them they can't, and it's like you just laid down a challenge. And they do love challenges. Picture it. The olden days. Spartans getting all amped up, not just to fight, but to flex and show they've got the muscles and the brains. Fast forward a bit, and there's Edison in his lab, probably thinking, let's light up this bad boy every time he tried a new filament for his bulb. We humans, we love being the hero of our story. It's why so many people are addicted to video games or why some people buy fancy planners they never use. We want to achieve, dominate, and maybe brag a bit. Casually drop into a conversation from The Secret of Success, How to Win Friends and Influence People. While you're trying to rally your team or impress your boss, don't just set boring targets. Make it a quest, a challenge, a game. Because who doesn't want to be the star player, right? Now, after understanding the essence of winning people to our way of thinking, Dale Carnegie moves a step further in The Secrets of How to Win Friends and Influence People to leadership. Part 4 is about how to be a leader, how to change people without offending them or arousing resentment. In this part, the first chapter is to call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Ever had someone point out spinach in your teeth? Embarrassing, right? Now imagine they yelled, "Hey, you've got spinach in your teeth," in front of the whole office. That's what direct criticism feels like. It's kind of like saying, "Nice shirt, but those pants are a disaster." Now, The Secret of Success, How to Win Friends and Influence People says something else. All you need is to swap out that but for an and. It's like saying, "Nice shirt, and have you considered pairing it with those blue jeans?" A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, or so they say. Next chapter in this part is about talking about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. This is like one tried to impress at a finance seminar by talking about stock market volatility, but actually showed slides of roller coasters from his last theme park visit. That's dipping into how to win friends and influence people. Because, let's be real, if you're going to point fingers, it's only fair to point one at yourself first. So before you sit Jenny down to discuss that minor miscalculation in the annual budget, maybe start with, "Hey, remember when I ordered 10,000 company pens with our name misspelled? Now about those numbers on page 3. Talking about your blunders is not only a great icebreaker, but it makes the other person feel a tad bit better about their own mishaps. It's all about building a bridge of, "Oops, we've been there," before diving into the river of, "Let's fix this." Take it from The Secret of Success, How to Win Friends and Influence People. A little self-deprecation can go a long way in the business world. Moving forward to the next chapter, which is about ask questions instead of giving direct orders. In the quest for understanding, the dynamics of communication is crucial. The difference between giving orders and asking questions is vast. The former can feel authoritarian and dictatorial, while the latter promotes collaboration and innovation. By preferring the path of inquiry over command, you're not only adopting a key principle of success, but also actively promoting a culture where others feel valued and engaged. This not only fosters a sense of ownership, but can also lead to better outcomes as different perspectives are taken into account. Now, the next chapter is all about letting the other person save face. Hey, you ever been to one of those comedy shows where someone gets a pie thrown in their face? Hilarious, right? But imagine that pie as the metaphorical mess-up someone did at work. It's no longer funny when you're the one with whipped cream dripping off your chin, especially if the whole office saw it. That's some wisdom right out of The Secret of Success on How to Win Friends and Influence People. You see, when Bob from accounting makes a decimal error that costs a bit more than some pocket change, it's easy to want to display that error in the town square. But what if, instead, we took Bob aside and said, "Hey, remember when I tried to use the office printer and accidentally made 500 copies of my vacation photos? Antoine de Saint-Exupéry had a point when he talked about dignity. Think of it as the invisible crown everyone wears. Sometimes it gets a little crooked, and it's our job to help straighten it without anyone noticing, not yank it off their head." In the real-world business game, inspired by The Secret of Success, letting someone save face isn't just about being nice, it's about being smart, building trust, and maintaining morale. After all, everyone deserves a little dignity, and to not be the next pie-in-the-face joke at the water cooler. Now, similar to Let the Other Person Save Face, this chapter is about praise the slightest improvement, and praise every improvement. For instance, every time Jim from marketing did something good, you gave him a cookie. By Friday, Jim would probably be surrounded by empty cookie wrappers and wondering if his new diet plan includes Cookie Lover. That's basically positive reinforcement in action. And it's a page taken right out of The Secret of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People. But here's the thing. Cookies are nice, but words? They're like cookies for the soul. B.F. Skinner, the psychology guru, wasn't saying shower people with chocolate chips. He was more about genuine appreciation. Think of it this way. Instead of just saying, "Good job," how about, "Jim, that presentation was the Mozart of slideshows. Bravo." Now, we are not saying you should butter up your colleagues like a toast, but if someone's bread is baked just right, let them know. It's not about manipulation, it's about motivating. A few genuine words can spark change, inspire greatness, and maybe even get Jim to share his cookies. Coming to the next chapter, talk about giving the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Picture this. It's Monday morning. Sally walks into the office, coffee in hand, eyes half shut. Now, Sally's not exactly known for her spreadsheets, but what if instead of saying, "Hope you don't mess up the numbers again, Sal," you say, "I've heard legends of a spreadsheet sorceress named Sally. Could that be you?" Boom. Sally's day made. The point straight out of The Secret of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People. You see, when you label someone the Queen of Quotas or Prince of Productivity, even if just for fun, you're giving them a shiny new cape to don. It's like telling someone they remind you of Superman. Even if they can't fly, they'll at least try to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Last but not least, this chapter is about making the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. The Secret of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People. Tell us if you want to get someone on board with your idea. Make them feel like they hit the jackpot just by saying yes. Imagine asking your colleague Bob to work overtime. Now, straight up asking might get you a reluctant nod or perhaps a flying pencil. But let's play it differently. "Hey Bob, how'd you feel about spearheading this project? I've seen your skills, and I genuinely think you could turn this around. Plus, think about the impression it'll make in front of the bosses." So what we did there, we didn't just ask Bob, we made him feel like a rock star. It's like showing a kid a cookie jar and saying, "Want to earn a cookie by doing your homework?" And that concludes a summary of The Secrets of Success: How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, if you are interested, get any audiobook of your choice for free, including How to Win Friends and Amp Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Use the link below the video. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice. It is important to conduct thorough research and consult with financial professionals before making any investment decisions. I recommend you watch the next video in our series. Don't hesitate to share this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.